Hello, guys, welcome to this podcast, Everyday Talkies, which ironically does not come out daily. I am Anshul and I talk about random things to random people, majorly about life, perspectives, and thinking process. It's like an interview, or let's say more of a conversation with one or two guests about random topics that interest us. To be really honest, it's just a way to reduce my inhibitions in talking to people. So come join me and enjoy. Hello, guys, welcome to the new episode of Everyday Talkies. Today, we have a different theme for this episode. We are trying to learn about farming and agriculture in India. This is a very important part in our life, and we tend to ignore it day by day. So, I have brought my friend who is an expert in this field and who shall give us some information about this field and talk about his projects and his ventures to improve this field, both from a technological standpoint and from an awareness standpoint. So, let's not waste much time. I'll give this platform to my friend Navdeep, who will introduce us about himself, and then we'll talk about the different aspects about farming in general. So Navdeep, over to you.
Thanks, Anshul, to give this topic a platform in your podcast. Actually, this is one of the things which is very useful nowadays for many of youth. Lockdown and this corona made us realize the importance of agriculture and the food industry. So many of the youths are trying to make career into this, and in few past months only we received interest of many youth joining with us and learning about agriculture and agrotech. So I think this podcast will help them to make a understanding about agriculture industry and how agriculture works, how agrotech helps farmer to grow more efficiently and effectively.
Thanks to you, because you agreed to be in this platform and you were such a positive force. When we were in college, you started working on your interest towards farming and agriculture right from the very first year, and you pursued it up until now, and you're continuing to do so. So it's a very great, I think, a milestone and a stand which you take to educate our youth and to increase the industry of agrotech. So we'll go to that ventures soon. But so first of all, I would like to know, personally, I do not have much knowledge about the farming industry or the agrotech industry in India, and I'm hoping that the listeners will also not have that much idea. So why don't you explain us about that? Like, what is the current state of Indian farming, and how is the government involved, and how much is the government involved in that?
So starting with the current state of farming, currently in India, majority of the farmers are marginal farmers, means they have the average land holding of farmer is 2 to 3 hectares in India. So the problem why they are not able to grow, or why they are still a marginal farmer, even though we are seeing a boom in the food industry, still why the money is not getting there. So first thing is the way they are growing is a very inefficient way. And after the green revolution, they had been taught to use fertilizers and agrochemicals as much as possible to make healthy vegetation or to grow a healthy crop. That habit made them use agrochemicals without any precautions or without any limitation, and it somehow affected the environment as well as their land, and the production is going down day by day. Currently, if you will see, the crop per acre in India is far much more less than what the other nation is growing per acre. So that's totally because of the lack of usage of technology and the precisionness of operating in a scientific way of farming. Right now, the way the farmer is using his resources is totally based upon whatever his past experience, or if someone has suggested him to use certain chemicals, so without further research or something, for example, there's some disease he might be facing in his farm, so he might not consult to scientists. There are scientists available at free of cost from government side. Those are called REO, rural extension officers, who are there to help farmers regarding all this sort of issues, but they are not aware of this, or they don't want to go to them, and they directly take help of few fertilizer companies, wholesaler or retailer, who suggest them their own agrochemicals, insecticide, pesticide or fertilizer. Whatever agrochemicals they suggest, they use it, and they use it in a very inefficient manner. For example, if you are taking paracetamol, if you are sick, the doctor will prescribe you to take paracetamol 2 tablets a day of 600 mg maybe. So there is a precise way of giving paracetamol to you. The same way plant is also a living being, and we should take care of it like that only. Like everything should be very precise, and the resources or the inputs which we are giving to the farmland or to the crop, we in very precise manner. And to achieve that, we should monitor our crops, or we should monitor our land, and accordingly we should give the agrochemicals. Cause recently you will say to the farmers that stop using this agrochemicals, it's not possible right now. So the one way to proceed further is that at least start limiting the excess usage of agrochemicals and slowly moving towards organic. So the only way to do that is first start monitoring, so that at least we know the actual condition. For example, how I will know that Anshul is having fever? If I will use thermometer and then I will see there's a temperature rise. So the same way we should treat plant as well, but we are not doing all these steps with the plant, and we are simply using agrochemicals. I will visit to a farmer's place and I ask many of the farmer what is the measure they are using to spray fertilizer. I never got an answer that they are doing their soil test or they are using some certain sort of device. First measure the need of that particular fertilizer and then they are spraying it. They are simply buying kilos and kilos of this fertilizers, as all these fertilizers are available in a very subsidized rate.
Yeah, so like I want to understand this one, as you mentioned, that the industry is basically based on influence rather than scientific study, where they listen to each other rather than actually getting the soil tested, actually taking the measurements, as you stated, actually consulting the scientists. So where do you think the problem lies here? Because like from what I understand, the main issue that might lie here is awareness among the farmers or education. So what do you think will be the major reason why this such a trend is happening in India?
There are multiple reasons behind this, starting from the government side till the past history of our agriculture. As I stated, all this matter started happening after Green Revolution only, when the scientific way of farming is very much popularized, like in Punjab.
One thing which I would like you to also give a small introduction on is what is Green Revolution? Like there might be many people who might not know what Green Revolution is. So if you could just briefly explain what that is and then continue with your point.
So yeah, in 1998, government started few policies through which they started spreading about the scientific way of farming. Before that, all it was organic way only, but government realized that we should start using the more scientific form of farming by using all these agrochemicals and all. So they start promoting agrochemicals from 1998, and they set an example in Punjab by showing the increase in production by this way. No doubt it was the need of our that time, but proper measures were not taken that time to promote it. The only funda they said is use agrochemicals and you will get increase in production. No doubt that increased the production significantly because farmers were not using fertilizers, and there was some sort of lack of fertility, and there was no usage of high yield variety seeds. So that time HYB seeds were also promoted.
By HYB seeds you mean hybrid seeds, right?
Yeah, high yield variety seeds, we say it. That seed needs more specific kind of nutrition, the more specific kind of agrochemicals in the soil, like NPK, nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus, or DAP or urea. So that was not present in the soil, so they started promoting all these agrochemicals, but they didn't mention how to use this or how much quantity we should use. So that started becoming a problem, because in farmers' mind, they thought as much as fertilizer we will use into the farm, the more production we will get. There is a specific quota decided by government, means there's a subsidized fertilizer available for them, and they avail all the fertilizer available in their quota and they use it into the farm without taking proper measures. There's a whole government mechanism which works in the agriculture industry. One of the ways, they have some officers available in every division. They divided the whole India into multiple divisions, whole state into multiple divisions. So which is been administered by the REOs or Krishi Vigyan Kendras or Indira Gandhi Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. So all these organizations are responsible to aware farmers about whatever government policies are implemented or whatever new techniques are coming into the market. But the thing is, there is not a good coordination between these government bodies and the farmers. The way few of the officers treat farmers or the way they interact with farmers, not a very good manner, and it made farmers very much arrogant about the government and government policies, due to which it became a very tough job for government officials as well to make aware of all this technology. Already government are working into this soil testing and all this sort of technology through which farmer can use the resources very efficiently. The only mission which every government body is working upon is every acre there should be more and more crop, which is the main agenda on which government is working upon. But to implement all of those things, they alone can't do it. So farmer needs to get involved with them. And there's a totally, I can see a gap between the farmer and the government policies. When I talk them about why they don't go to Indira Gandhi Krishi Vidyalaya or Krishi Vigyan Kendra, or why they don't contact to REOs, the rural extension officers. So they stated that we are not very much fond of their work, and the way they interact with us is not very good, and sometimes they misguide also, and sometimes there is no proper guidance from that side as well. I think government should also ensure proper monitoring in their own mechanism as well, that what is going wrong in their mechanism and how they can correct it, and they should start working on building a good image with the farmers by interacting with them in a proper manner. I went to agriculture societies established by government bodies. Through these societies only, they give the agri loans and all the seeds, fertilizers, all this sort of things they distribute from these agriculture societies only. So I went to one of these agriculture societies and I experienced what farmers were saying. If government is giving agri loan to this farmers, procedure to get this agri loan is by submitting a form or doing some sort of paperwork. But a farmer who is illiterate, don't know how to read, how to write, how he will apply for that? When I went there, there was so much crowd in just one place that it was impossible to the officer or to the person who was working into the society to help each and everyone. Many of them were not able to fill the form, so some of the volunteers who were with me helped few farmers to fill the forms. Some were applying for the seeds, some were applying for the fertilizers, or someone was applying for the loan. But that was just one day thing for us, and we also want to make sure that we as an NPO, how we can solve certain things. But we also have certain limitations. We also have limitation of funding and all those sort of things. So majority of the things can be solved by farmers and the government bodies only. And in some places, the NGOs and NPOs like us can come as moderator between the government bodies and farmers and solve the things between them.
Yeah, that's actually really nice to learn about how the farming industry is currently. One thing which I wanted to add, or I wanted to understand, is first of all is about the technology in the farming era, because usually when we think about farming or agriculture in general, we have this old images. There's a bullock cart plowing the fields, and probably there is a tractor, and that's basically it. Like, we don't understand the importance of technology in any industry for that matter, especially in farming industry. So briefly, if you could explain, not getting too technical, but on why is technology needed in the farming industry?
As you mentioned, the technology is in every field, and because people are more capital driven or the more profit driven in other industry, they realize the need of the hour and they upgraded the technology in their industry very soon. But still in agriculture, people are very ignorant about the agro technology. Agrotech can help us monitor our farms. So as I mentioned, we are taking the measures, or we are using the agrochemicals without monitoring, without knowing the need of our land, or without knowing the need of our crop. We are simply using the agrochemical. And then second thing is to automate things, as there is very big labor problem in the agriculture industry. People are moving from village to cities, and there is totally a big gap in agri labor. So
When you say automation, so what exactly will be automated in the farming industry? If you could give a one or two examples.
yeah, for example, one of the very common thing which is being used in agriculture is, first thing is irrigation, and second thing is fertigation. Irrigation is providing the water to the land or to the crop, and fertigation means providing fertilizers to the land. So we can use the smart way of doing this, the smart irrigation systems or the automated system which are into the market. But problem is the existing smart irrigation system or the fertigation system which is into the market is very highly priced, as it's been imported from Israel or the European countries, and the user interface of all these smart systems are in English language, which is not very much suitable, or which is not very much user friendly for the Indian farmers. So this is where many Indian companies like me are coming forward and working upon building solutions which are Indian farmers friendly, and we are trying to reduce the cost as much as possible in making all this sort of devices or agro equipments which can bring efficiency and which can make farmers life more prosperer. One more thing which I would add upon is, as I was talking about the fertigation system or the irrigation system, so what smart irrigation system or what smart fertigation system does is, there are some sort of sensors which has been installed in the whole cropland, and then accordingly we irrigate or fertigate our land, and all this are done using a very automated system in which there is no need of labor, or there is no need of farmers interaction into this. So farmer can use all this technology to eliminate the labor problem, or to make their farming more efficiently.
Like, this is actually a very nice input, because people need to know that running from technology or running from automation will not help. We need to adapt and improve ourselves to engulf this technology, adapt to these technologies, and improve our capacity or improve our yield. I'm actually now moving to a more somber topic and a very sad topic, which it comes up in newspapers on a very regular basis, that we see that multiple farmers are taking the route of suicides instead of how would I put this? So basically there are too many deaths in the farming industry, and just to give a clarity on that, why do you think is that a reason?
So actually, the reason behind the increasing suicide rate in India is, one of the major reason is the debt trap. So how this debt trap is so much high in the agriculture industry or in the rural areas. As I told that agro input is not being measured, or is not being used very efficiently. So the cost of farming is increasing day by day. Means the cost of agrochemicals, the seeds, and the farming industry is very uncertain. For example, you are a money lender in rural area, and generally what I observed in many of the villages where I went, they take money from the local money lender in their village. There are agri loans available from the government side, which is in zero interest, and many benefits are there in from taking loan from the government. But the problem with this is, the procedure to get that loan not very much farmer friendly. They don't know how to get those loan, or so they simply take the loan from the local money vendor, and they don't use the simple interest formula. They use the compound interest formula while putting the interest into the loan. It creates a debt trap. For example, you took 100 rupees from me today. Something happened in your farmland. All of a sudden, rain started. Crop was already ripe. Now the rain started, due to which all the crop got rotten off. So you had complete loss of the crop due to this situation. In farmer's life, there's only one time where they can earn in the whole year, or some farmers also earn twice a year only. So if something happens that time, for the whole year they don't have any money, and they also don't have any money to restart their farming business. So what happens is they go to this XYZ money lender, they lend certain amount of money to survive and to purchase seeds or fertilizer and all those sort of things for the next crop cycle, and he start harvesting this crop and all, and he will have a calculation that okay, next year somehow if I took 5,000 rupees from this money lender, and he will say that with interest it will be 7,000 in 6 months. So he will think that okay, I will somehow be able to pay this 2,000 rupees interest in next 6 months. I will be able to grow this crop. But what will happen, his crop will again fail somehow in the next year due to some reasons. Maybe for example, this locust attack happened in India. The same way there are many uncertainties in agriculture industry, like it's full of uncertainties due to some natural calamities or some disease. He will face one more crop loss. Now he will start entering into a debt trap. Now he will acquire some more money from the money lender, and this money lender is giving him money in security or in collateral. He will take this farmer's land according to the value of that land only. He will start giving him loan. The interest is multiplying day by day in a very faster way. So he entered this debt trap, and very soon he will reach the amount which is equal to the price of his land, and he won't be able to get more money from the money lender, and the person who lended him money will take the land of the farmer. That's the time when farmer will realize that he has no other option to survive, or he has no other option to make living. That time he takes this strong step of quitting his life.
That's a really sad option where the money lenders are such shrewd that they don't even care about people's lives, and they have such harsh policies while giving out loans and people falling into debt traps. But hopefully in future this will improve. Hopefully in future we'll be able to reach a stage where such situations don't arise. By the use of technology we can improve our crop yield, or by getting more official and serious middlemen or brokers or money lenders who are more pragmatic about this approach. But lastly, I would just like to ask about this thing that, due to this current COVID scenario in the past 2-3 months, like how do you think is the farming industry impacted?
Definitely, there's a lot of changes in agriculture industry due to this outbreak, and not only in agriculture industry. I think in every industry there's a big change. So one thing which we noticed is in the marketplace, like the mandis and all these bazaars where farmer used to sell their agro products. So that is one of the place where it's impacted the most, because farmers are not able to sell their agro inputs in the starting days. There was a big failure of the whole supply chain mechanism which is working currently, which is very unorganized. It made a huge loss to farmers. But one positive thing is government actually started thinking about it and started organizing the whole supply chain in many of the states. For example, one of the scheme which government launched is some vehicle they were providing free of cost so that farmers can sell their agro products to the market. And then they also realized the value of post-harvest management and food processing. In situations like this, if we would have the proper infrastructure of post-harvest management and food processing, we would have utilized all the agro products which were wasted, and our farmers who worked so hard to grow all these agro products, and then they don't had any choice other than throwing or just like exposing it into the open farmland. And actually it is bad for environment as well, the way the farmer disposed of their agro products, because all the way it's been exposed right now is emitting so much of carbon dioxide. Actually, this would have been used as fertilizer as well, but as you can say, the lack of awareness or the lack of proper mechanism and infrastructure to process all this sort of things, it somehow impacted the environment as well as it made a huge loss to the farmers.
Obviously, this outbreak has impacted all industry, and especially farming industry, which is such a volatile industry in itself. And given that in such an unorganized sector, it has impacted that much. Hopefully, government will provide more measures and organize it in a better fashion. But given that we listened to all of these problems and understood about the farming industry and the agro industry in general, one thing which I would like everybody to know that Navdeep here, he is basically the founder and CEO of his own startup Sangavari, and where he, coming from the similar background, he tries to tackle all of the problem by using technology. So we would like to continue this. So for this episode, we would like the listeners to think about these issues and understand the farming industry. And in the upcoming episode, we'll hear Navdeep speak about his company Sangavari and what are the products and the services that he uses and the way he came up with the idea to tackle such problems or to help the farmers in whatever way possible. So we'll meet all of you guys soon. And Navdeep, thank you so much for being in this episode. It was great talking to you.
Thanks a lot, Anshul, for inviting me over and giving me a platform in your space.
No, absolutely. Like I've seen you from the first year of college, and it was my pleasure of hosting you here. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Bye bye. Thank you to all the listeners. I'll catch up with you again soon with someone new and lots of interesting discussions. So, bye.